Hey y'all. So today is Wednesday, August 20th, and I'm just coming to y'all with a really quick word. I would like for this word to encourage us to be more, um, to want to collaborate more and to want to encourage each other more. Um, when I see videos on YouTube, I don't watch every video that I see, but I've seen a lot of videos where prophetic voices or people that God has used and anointed to come onto the platform, they are having to defend themselves against the people who watch them and just be like, listen, can y'all not leave this type of comment? Can y'all not do that? Can y'all not do that? And I've never really had to do that. Honestly, because I ignore everybody. Like, I don't, because I know that God called me here, I don't take what y'all say personal. I don't, it'd be annoying, but honestly, like, I've had like maybe 2 or 3 bad or aggravating comments, and I don't even delete them, to be honest, because you're not bothering me like that, right? And so this really stems from the video that I just posted about Esther. This is your Esther moment. Somebody posted below, like, girl, cover yourself up. Queen Esther didn't dress like Rahab the harlot or whatever. And when I saw that, I immediately laughed. But there was a part of me that almost wanted to be offended because, like anybody would tell you, if you feel some type of way about something, you really just don't have to comment. Like, you could just see it and scroll past. You can ignore it. You could just say, oh yeah, I don't want to listen to her. Like, you don't have to leave comments, right? You really can keep your opinion to yourself. And that's about everything. Like, that's not just about that, but anything that you have an opinion on. I don't know who gave people the right. I don't even feel like right is the word that I want to use, but who gave y'all the right to feel like everything that you feel and everything that you have an opinion about, you should voice it out loud, right? Opinions come and go, but you don't have to voice it. And especially when it's a negative opinion. And I said this on one of my videos, like one of my early videos, social media has given people the platform to really be haters under the guise of it's an opinion. You're a real life hater. But it's like somebody could put something very positive out and you will have the worst comment alive just because it's an opinion and you feel like you're free to make it. And I'm not saying this about that person, but I'm saying, like, stuff like that always aggravated me because if it's not helping the other person and if it's not going to encourage them to do better, and if you're saying it in a way that it might not be received well, why would you even say that? Why would you want to hurt the next person? I'm all about loving on everybody and caring and making sure they know that I care, even when you are giving correction. So I don't understand people who intentionally say things that they know can hurt somebody and they have no remorse and they have no character when it comes to that. Like, matter of fact, you came up with this opinion because you want to hurt the next person, right? I never understand stuff like that. Because I'm not here to want to hurt nobody. And again, I'm not talking about this specific person, but I'm saying, like, a lot of the time, and this is on all social media platforms. This is not even just up on the prophetic words. This is just people just being ghostwriters, being keyboard gangsters and stuff, and feeling like they could say something because they're behind a keyboard and this person may never meet them or never see them in real life and stuff like that. Y'all don't understand that God is watching you, and God is watching how you talk to his children, and God is watching the things that you say. And not only that, but you better hope you don't hurt the feelings of the person that you are talking about. Because if that is God's child and you say something that hurts that person, you got to get dealt with. You will have to deal with God's wrath when it comes to that. You don't discourage God's people. You don't talk to God's people crazy. Now, again, this is not necessarily about this specific person, but this is just about people as a whole when it comes to anybody being on social media and you're just having these opinions where you feel like you can say what you want and it don't, you know what I'm saying? Stop doing that, right? Stop doing that. But then on the other end, to the people like me who are dealing with these negative comments, I honestly, like, urge you to not always be offended, right? Because, for one, don't pay attention to what they say. In some instances, you just can't pay attention. But on some instances, God's correction can be in those messages. God's correction can be in something that this person has said. But if you have the spirit of offense on you and you just automatically want to be offended, you're not going to catch what God is saying in that. So to the person, regarding what they said, when they said my shirt, while I wanted to be offended, when I continued watching the video, I saw my shirt was lower than what I thought it was. I don't always watch my videos after I record them, especially if I know that I didn't make no mistakes and I don't need to edit. I don't watch my videos back all the way. So my shirt was a little bit lower than I wanted it to be. I would never come on God's platform, dress that type of way, trying to offend him, trying to offend his listeners, because I want you guys to listen to God's word that he has sent me up here to say. So I would never try to disrespect or distract anybody. So first off, I do want to apologize to anyone who may have been offended by that. Even if you did not say anything, I want to apologize because that's not me at all. If I would have known that shirt was low like that, I would have either edited it to bring it up to where it was just like my head, or I would have re-recorded it, or whatever the case may be, but I wouldn't have posted that. However, I'm not going to take it down, right? I'm not going to take it down. I'm apologizing for it, but I'm not going to take it down because the message still stands. And with that being said, I have to acknowledge God's correction in that. I have to acknowledge God humbling me in that moment. I could be mad. I could be aggravated because the person was like, she didn't dress like Rahab the harlot. Is you calling me a harlot? Like, I could have been like that. And I could have been like, who you talking to? You don't know me. You don't XYZ. But what would that have gotten me? Right? God has called me to this platform to encourage and strengthen his body. To encourage you guys with words. To encourage you guys with the wisdom that God has given me so you don't have to make some of the same mistakes that I've made. What would that have gotten me had I responded like that? Nowhere. Yeah, I might have felt good in my flesh, but how would my spirit have sat with me? How would God have looked at me had I responded through my flesh? Right? So, when I was processing my emotion with that, I felt like God wanted me to put a word out, but I did not necessarily know where he would have, what kind of word. And so he led me to 1 Corinthians chapter 14. And while this is titled Tongues and Prophecy, I want you all to think about the way we speak to each other. And this is about the people of the world, or I don't even say the people of the world, but our audience, and then the prophetic voices that God sends on these platforms, right? So here's a verse right here that says, Verse 6, dear brothers and sisters, if I should come to you speaking in an unknown language, how would that help you? But if I bring you a revelation or some special knowledge or prophecy or teaching, that will be helpful. Even lifeless instruments like the flute or the harp must play the notes clearly, or no one will recognize the melody. And if the bugler doesn't sound a clear call, how will the soldiers know they are being called to battle? It's the same for you. If you speak to people in words they don't understand, how will they know what you are saying? You might as well be talking into empty space. And down here to verse 12, it says, and the same is true for you. Since you are so eager to have these special abilities the Spirit gives, seek those that will strengthen the whole church. Seek those special abilities that will strengthen the whole church. And in this moment, I want you to think about the words that you speak to people and how you treat the people around you. For prophetic voices, we coming on here, and it's not easy. And I'm going to tell you, some of us have been doing this for years, but whether you've been doing this for years or whether you've been doing it for a day, it is not easy when God chooses you to a platform like this and you expose yourself and you put yourself on a pedestal to where people can have something to say, right? Because if you're somebody like me, you ain't never wanted to be, I wanted to be in the cut. I used to be very, very shy. So in the cut, I don't want to be known. I don't want nobody to know my name. I don't want y'all to know my voice. I'm real cool with not being known at all, right? And God called me to this. And I've expressed how shy I was when I first started, right? But again, It's not an easy job being up here. No matter the spirit that God gives you. Yeah, God gives you a spirit, not of fear, but of strong, sound mind and power and stuff like that. Even still, it is not always easy coming up here and giving the messages that we give. Some of them are judgment for people. Some of them are encouraging for people that are in this one season, and other people who are looking and they're not in that season, but they want to be in that season, and they're discouraged because you said a word and they didn't take it back to God, so they applied it to themselves, and now they mad at you and they mad at God because they think you're lying. Whole time this is not a word for them in their life in this current season. Right? So it's not easy because you got to deal with that. You got to deal with the people who have been on these processes and these journeys for a long time. So they are discouraged and they just don't want to hear these words no more. And they just don't want to hear the positivity, and they don't want to see the positive testimonies. Like, we got to deal with a lot as a prophetic voice, as somebody that God has called to these platforms to spread the word. We deal with a lot right there. Like, and so with that, look, this thing say living on the edge. Partner with us to help people connect with God daily. That's what we come on here to do. We help connect people with God daily when we come on here to give these words. Don't ever underestimate the strength and power and boldness that comes with that, right? But then on the other hand, so again, our job is to encourage you guys, but also from the standpoint of the audience, as a listener, as somebody who watches and interacts, you know, your job is to encourage us as well. Your job is to encourage us. Your job is to, the word that keeps coming up to me is correct, right? But I want to use correct loosely, because sometimes the way that y'all want to correct us is not even led by God. It's led by your flesh. And I can tell it's led by your flesh by how you speak. I can tell God had a message for me in this correction that you gave me. God had a message in that. God had something that he wanted to say with me, but you added your flesh in that. That's not God's complete whole message. That's some of your flesh in that too. Right? So I want to encourage y'all to, when and if God calls you to correct somebody, not just on these platforms, but in real life, watch how you talk to people. Because your goal should always be to, 1, represent God. 2, encourage and strengthen someone. Your job and your goal should never be to hurt somebody with your words or with your actions. Your job should always be to ensure that at the end of this conversation, this person feels good about what you said to them. The message might have been like crazy, but you wrapped it in so much love that it received well. You have to tailor your message for your audience. The goal is for the audience to receive your message and make whatever changes need to be made. If you cussing somebody out and you going off on them and you talking mean, I'm not even focused on your message no more. I'm focused on how you just disrespected me. I'm focused on how I'm finna respond to you in the midst of this disrespect. I'm not even focused on the validity of everything that you just said to me. And, you know, so many times, I just talked to my dad and my grandma about this. People just want to be right so bad that they don't have no respect for somebody else's mind, somebody else's heart, somebody else's feelings, or their experience. They don't have no respect for that because they just want to be right. I want to be right so bad, I'm going to just say what I got to say. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care if you receive it. Because I need to be right, and I need to be the one that's said and known for correcting you. That's pride. I encourage y'all, when y'all come up here, when y'all come on these social media platforms, when you talk to your friend and you give them an opinion about something, I encourage you to, 1, check what you're saying. Make sure it's of God. Did God even tell you to say that to that person? That's your opinion, but did God tell you to take that back to that person? Is that a message from God, or is that from your flesh? Is that from your experience and the way that you would do something? Did God tell you to say that to that person? Because some wisdom is just wisdom between you and God. Some wisdom, and this is something that I had to learn a long time ago. God will reveal things to me about my mom and my sisters, and I would go and take it to them, and they would be so offended, and God would be like, did I tell you to say that to them? I told you that. I did not tell you to say that to them. Now you out here trying to do damage control because you out here running your mouth, and God has not released you to say that. God has you think that your wisdom is helpful, and it might be in a season when they are ready for it. Sometimes the seed that God gives you today, or the wisdom that God gives you today regarding somebody, it's not the season for you to tell them. Sometimes it's another season, but he has just given you insight so that you know how to deal with them. The wisdom God has given you is not for you to tell the other person. It's so that he can show you how to deal with this person. This is the issue that they have going on behind the scenes. So this is how I want you to deal with them. I don't want you to deal with them the way that you would regularly deal with them before you knew that they had this going on. I need you to give them a little bit more grace. I need you to be a little bit more understanding. I need you to have the emotional intelligence to know and understand the things that they don't even say. They haven't said that you hurt their feelings, but I'm telling you that you hurt their feelings. And so now I'm going to tell you how to deal with them. I'm going to tell you how to work this, how to repair this thing. They're not going to tell you that you hurt their feelings. But I told you that. Because I now need you to check how you're dealing with this person. I now need you to deal with this person in a different way. Right? This is stuff, sometimes the wisdom that God gives you is not for the other person at that time. So, yes, I just want to encourage everybody within the body of Christ. Prophetic voices, I encourage you to, the things that they say, just like we tell them to take it back to God, I encourage you to take it back to God. Yes, God has you on this platform. God has chose you for this, but that does not mean that God won't correct you through certain things. And it does not mean that he will tell you first that you have done something wrong. Sometimes he will tell somebody that has listened to you or has listened to something that you said. Again, this is not just about online type stuff. You could be talking to your friend, and your friend could say, well, you did do that wrong. God ain't even told you nothing yet, but your friend told you that, and you took it back to God, and God said, well, yeah, daughter, yes, son, I've been trying to get you to understand you didn't do that right. That's not the way I would have wanted you to do it. Don't think that just because God has called you to this platform that you're above correction and that God cannot use your listeners or your audience to correct you. He absolutely can, and he will. But it's for you to take it back to God, because as his voices, we still got to know and understand that everything that comes from a person is not for us. Every part of that message is not for us. Everything that they say is not for us. So we take that back to God, and we correct ourselves, and we humble ourselves. Don't feel no type of way. Don't get prideful at the fact that God has called you to a position, and somebody that you look at as lowlier than you has corrected you. Don't have no pride in that, because at the end of the day, we're all in God's body. We're all a part of the body of Christ, and God can use anybody. We're all supposed to work together. We're all supposed to work together. We're all supposed to strengthen and encourage each other. So don't look bad or don't think bad about the fact that somebody who listened to your video just said something to you. Take it back to God. But then on the other hand, the people who are leaving comments and having these opinions and stuff like that, I encourage y'all to, before you even post something, you done typed it out, before you even click enter, you ask God, is this of you? Did you want me to say this? Is this going to strengthen this person? Is this going to encourage this person? Make sure you're doing your job too. Because the opinions that you have, let's just be real, it's very unnecessary. Keep it to yourself. Like, keep it to yourself. Unless God has moved and told you to say something, you shouldn't be saying nothing to nobody. If you don't like it, go on about your day. But to sit there and type up something bad or negative to somebody just because you can, it's crazy. So I encourage all of y'all to like be trying to collaborate with each other when it comes to this movement that God uses prophetic voices to teach, and he has listeners. Y'all should be trying to work together. Again, this thing says partner with us to help people connect with God daily. We should be partnering with each other, a voice in somebody in the audience, because we all are God's voices. We all are God's mouthpieces. No, God may not have called everybody to a platform, but that does not mean that God cannot get a message out of that person. It does not mean that God does not still use that person. And sometimes I've seen us prophetic voices be offended by the fact that you got something to say. No, I think we all should be looking at that differently. I think we all should be looking at that differently. And I think we all should be looking at how we can continue to encourage each other and still represent Christ. If your comment is not representing Christ and your comment does not come for Christ, it is best for you to be quiet. It is best for you to not say anything. It is best for you to ask God, well, God, I didn't agree with that. Is this somebody that I should still be listening to? Because I ain't like that. I don't think she right with that. I don't think he did that the right way. Should I still be listening to this person? Maybe that's what you can do. Instead of you leaving a comment, maybe you can do that. But ask God for direction when it comes to the words that you speak. Because we are in a world where everybody wants to be offended, but also nobody has a problem being offensive. Ain't nobody really thinking about, oh, I'm finna say this. Is this going to hurt this person or not? Ain't nobody really thinking about that. You just want to say what you want to say. And that should not be a thing. But also being easily offended and having pride against something that somebody says to you should not be a thing as well. We're all a part of the body of Christ. We're all supposed to work together. So, again, I will apologize for my shirt. I did not realize that my shirt was that low. I would never come up here like that. I do appreciate the correction from this person. I think their name was Blessed Servant or something like that. But like I told you in the comments, I just encourage you to watch how you talk to people. All the other Queen Esther didn't dress like this. She didn't dress like Rahab, what's the name? That was unnecessary. That wasn't something that you had to say to me. And if you felt real offended by it, maybe you could have emailed me. My email is up there. But doing all that, and I know a lot of people like to do stuff for social media. Not saying that this person do, but a lot of people do. Y'all have to be careful how you talk to people. You have to, because God is checking your heart posture. God is checking your intentions behind you. But when you open your mouth to somebody, he's checking everything behind you. And even if your correction is right, if your heart is not wrong, you will have to deal with God. So, yeah, that's the word that I have. I hope it reaches the ears that it's for. And I will see y'all on my next video.